Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from While She Sleeps, Sleep Society, out April 16th on Spine Farm Records. The album has 11 tracks, 45 minutes in length, and this is the band's fifth full-length studio album. They are a British metalcore band, and for this record they put together a structure that I felt was very interesting, really offering you two different looks, two different deliveries, two different approaches from the first half to the second half. The first half of the album is very continuous, is very linear, if you will. There's a lot of the same elements moving from one track to the other, allowing the record to stay together, to stay compact, to stay cohesive, and the overall experience of the listener becomes uninterrupted from one track to the next. There's a lot of similarities, and those similarities really keep you moving, but keep you moving in a very straightforward path. Once you get into the second half of the album is a lot more bumpy. The tracks start to pull you in different directions. They have different soundscapes, different approaches to those soundscapes. The songs feel different, even from an emotional drive. There's just a lot of different things happening in that second half of the album that doesn't allow you to have this sense of continuity as much, or at least the record doesn't feel as linear as it did in the first half. The way they kept the record together, the way they kept this album cohesive and not allowing it to break itself apart, is by using a lot of the elements in the second half that are the driving forces of the experience in the first half more as layers. What I mean by that is that when you go through this record, the first couple of songs on the album start to introduce some of the elements, but just as pieces of the puzzle, not necessarily the big picture, or at least not the one where the spotlight is on. Those pieces become a little bit more important in the second half. They get themselves pushed into the forefront. They become the drivers of the experience. They become the drivers of the tracks themselves, and therefore you start to notice them a lot more. The fact that in your subconscious mind you already heard them before allows the overall record to stay very connected, to stay very fluid and very engaging, and you don't have this sensation like you're listening to two different albums and at any given time you're moving from one into the other, or you have this abrupt change from track to track. So this is the perfect way of constructing an album that's going to have this much of a difference from one side to the other, and at the same time still keep it all together, still keep it all as one. Once you get into the soundscape of the record, this is a very rich sounding album. Nothing new for me, nothing new in terms of what you would expect from While She Sleeps. They're a band that brings a lot of different layers. They bring a lot of different pieces of this large puzzle, put them all together, allowing you to enjoy the individuality of the elements, but also the strength of the collective. And that's exactly what you're going to get out of this album. Now, this is not consistent across all 11 songs, because you do going to get a few changes on a few tracks in terms of how the songs are recorded, in terms of how they're delivered, and that obviously impacts the overall soundscape that they have. But when you look at the big picture of the record, this is an album that stays together, that really lives off of the quality of the collective, of the strength of the collective, while still allowing you to really digest all the small pieces that makes that collective as strong as it is. Now, three of the driving forces of this record is definitely the keyboards, the electronic elements, and the guitars. When you look at the keyboards, I like what they did here. They brought a little bit more of a classic approach, a classic sound, a classic delivery, and really changes your perspective on some songs. I like the fact that they use them sometimes as just an element, just a layer, and in other tracks they were the driving force of the track itself. They really became what the song was all about. But it changes the dynamics, it changes how you perceive the songs, and it definitely emphasizes the emotional drive and the emotional impact of the lyrics on those tracks. Now, the electronic elements of the album, to me, felt a little bit overplayed at times. It's perhaps the thing that I enjoyed the least. It's not like it's new to them to use those kind of elements, but I felt on this record they really overused them. It seems like they were coming at me on every single corner or on every single turn. They don't impact the heaviness, the aggression, and the drive of the album. They increase the melody, obviously. They increase the size of the sound, but it just felt a little bit repetitive at times. It just felt like they could have gone in a different direction or give me something else, and it became a little bit predictable. Once you get into the guitar sound is phenomenal on the album. It pushes the drive of the song, it pushes the tempos, increases the melody, it has aggression, it has volume itself, it's chunky at times, driven at others, really bringing everything that is the essence of this band in a live stage, in a live performance as far as the guitar goes, into the studio, packing it all in and delivering it on this record. The same could be said about the vocals. I love the vocals on the record. They have all the same elements that we get during a live performance. I love the layers, I love the backing vocals, I love the abundance of sound that comes out of the vocals on the album, really making the experience of the tracks a rich one for the listener, because you just feel like there's so many different things coming at you from a vocal perspective that adds a different perception, it adds a different depth to the songs, and some tracks really bringing to life the lyrical content, really allowing you to gravitate towards it perhaps a little bit more, making you dive deeper into that side of the record, into that side of the band, to try to understand exactly what's there for you and how can you connect better with the album. The vocals really do a huge service to that side of the band, to that side of the album itself, and I love how they sound in the consistency of approach, and the consistency in the quality that they have from the first song to the last song is undeniable. Now, overall, this is a band that I always feel like they're able to reach the next gear with every single album that they release. It's incredible. They always find ways of improving based on what they've done previously. They take a lot of the same elements that worked really well for them on a previous record, they moved it into the next record, and then they add something else. They add something more. They put something on top. They change the direction here. They change the direction there. Always looking at creative ways of improving themselves as a band, that delivers quality sound, quality records, and not being afraid of taking chances, not being afraid of changing things because they don't want to stay still. They don't want to be the same band across 2 consecutive records. This album is really proof of that, proof that they took a lot from the previous album into this record. They change a few things, they try something new, they try different approaches, different looks, different ways of putting tracks together, different ways of constructing an album, and see where this takes them. It's all about growing, and this is a band that never stays still. But now, with that growth, there's going to be things that will work, and you're going to see them pushing them forward, and there's going to be things that perhaps they're going to leave behind. I, for one, hope that that electronic side of this record doesn't continue necessarily too much into the forefront, or at least that doesn't become the driver of the experience and the driver of what this band is all about. It hides a little bit of the strength that they have across some other elements that I wish they had a little bit more in the forefront that allowed them to shine up a little bit more. But overall, this is a very strong album, nothing that I wasn't expecting from them, and definitely a step up from the previous record. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Systematic. The electronic sound that opens the track really stays with the track. It doesn't go away. It's not just part of the intro. It stays with the song, but it doesn't hide the heaviness that the track has. It doesn't remove it either. It just blends with it. The drums and guitars really provide the backbone of this song. They really provide the heaviness that the track has, pushing it forward. The vocals have this live feel to it that just merges really well with all the energy that is present on this track. If there's one word to describe Systematic, is energy. But it's a song that really lives off of the electronic vibe that it holds and really permeates from the beginning all the way to the end, sometimes becoming a little bit too much. It just becomes the be-all and end-all of the overall soundscape experience that this track has to offer. Know Your Worth, it's one of my favorite songs on the album. Super melodic guitar intro, and that super melodic guitar intro kind of permeates as far as the atmosphere that it creates and the emotional drive that's present within it. It's a song that really gripped me from the beginning all the way to the end. The lyrics became the driving force of this track. I gravitated to this song because of the lyrical content. It made me dig deeper into the song, it made me dig deeper into the lyrics, and I've never looked back since. It's become my favorite track on the album because of how the music, the sound, the vocals, the lyrics, these 3 elements really work well together in order to pack aggression and melody and melancholy and really deliver a very interesting, smooth but yet roller coaster of a ride from beginning all the way to the end. You just never know where you're going to be within this song. You move from aggression and intensity to a more melancholic and almost at ease moment, then merging immediately into a more aggressive side of the track. It's just really a Jekyll and Hyde style track, both from a musical perspective and a vocal perspective. Last but not least, No Defeat for the Brave. Super driven track. This one is like pedal to the metal from the beginning all the way to the end. It weaves itself between heaviness and melody, but at the same time, vocally and musically, I feel like there's one foot on the heavy side and one foot on the melody side, and you're kind of trying to make sure you stay connected with those 2 worlds as you progress through the song. But overall, there's a track that doesn't hold back, that always has a lot of energy. It comes at you fast and furious from the time you press play all the way to the time that it ends. This is it. While She Sleeps with Sleep Society, out April 16th on Spine Farm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.